guys, this is Samantha K, and this is the Samantha K Experience. Well, we're going to just jump right into it tonight. Okay, so what's good with WrestleMania 37, guys? Anybody? Anyone? I'm going to tell you what happened or what's really good with it. Okay, so WrestleMania 37 took place at Raymond James Stadium this past weekend on April the 10th and April the 11th. This is the second WrestleMania in a row that was a two-night event. And I must say that this year, I don't think they delivered as hard as they tried to do last year. Now, there was a few factors that came into play with, if you want to compare both WrestleManias. First comparison, they had the same pirate theme that they had last year, which, if anybody knows WrestleMania, they never really repeat the same type of theme multiple times. At least not back to back. Like, I thought that was kind of odd, of all the things pirates the same time. Like, really? That, to me, that just felt lazy. But I realized that they spent a whole bunch of money on building this big boat, or this big ship, for the stadium, and they wanted to show it off. And plus, they had pyrotechnics and all that other stuff. So I'm assuming they didn't want to lose out on all the money spent trying to build up the set. So I get it. I relatively get it. Another similarity. Of course, some of the same stars that participated in last year's WrestleMania were there again this year. So I guess that was the most easiest similarity to think of. This year, there was no cinematic matches. Surprisingly enough, I would think that the match between The Fiend and Randy Orton would have been a cinematic match, but it wasn't. I think we would have been better off with having a cinematic match as opposed to the match that we did have on night 2 of WrestleMania. Some differences. Obviously, last year Drew McIntyre won the world title from Brock Lesnar, the WWE world title from Brock Lesnar. This year, Drew went in as a challenger. So over the course of from April to April, Drew McIntyre had lost the belt twice as a result of, I don't know, I guess background politics, so to speak. So that was one of the other things that I was really annoyed about. But yeah, overall, the other differences was like, we actually had more live performances. We had people in attendance as opposed to last year where we had no fans in attendance, which pretty much played a key role in the way how the superstars have to come out with their entrance, because they feed off the crowd. Whether you're a face or a heel, the crowd participation is very key. They're either with you or against you. But last year, superstars didn't have that. So when you win a title, whether or not it's the world title or WWE Universal title or even the Intercontinental title, any of these things require you to have like some fan participation to some extent. So that was horribly lacking last year. This year, it was more of like, yes, we didn't have like the gazillion and billion fans that we normally would have, but we were just happy to have fans in attendance. This year, the show started, it had a rain delay. So the show was pretty much delayed for about a half hour due to some lightning storms or thunderstorms that happened on Saturday. So it was interesting to see Michael Cole and Samoa Joe with ponchos on. And as Michael Cole was talking, you kind of see like in the background, if you just look just past his right shoulder, that there was a puddle forming in front of the barricades, just in front of the barricades, and so it made things a little slippery for the superstars. And as a result of the delay, they had to cut, several superstars cut like promos. So it was promo after promo after promo. The first match had Bobby Lashley, who was now the WWE world title holder. He fought Drew McIntyre. I'm not going to really go too much into the specifics of the matches, and because I don't really want to spoil anything, because apparently I've been spoiling a lot of stuff as of late when I do these episodes. So I'm trying to be on my best behavior when it comes to things of that nature. Overall, I think that the match was good for what it was. I do think that if you watch the match, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but if for me, when I was watching the match, I noticed that there were like some moments where the guys look kind of like they might have been gassed, they might have been a little bit tired, but these are two big guys, so you would assume that, with all the energy and there were the nerves of having to start off first, and plus you were dealing with a rain delay, which probably zapped some of the time that the guys would have had to perform. So energies are high, and you're trying to do the best that you can. So with that being said, I could kind of see like some of the energy, like it was a bit overwhelming for the guys. So these are two big guys. So you kind of see like there was a little bit of like, maybe they might have been slightly lethargic. I think Drew might have, I don't know, something about it just seemed kind of off. But if you guys go and watch the match, you could probably see what I'm talking about. Or if you just think that, Samantha, you're just seeing, into it a little bit too much, then just let me know. Goes like, hit me up. I'm always open to having discussions for the show. And any questions, you guys can hit me up. But yeah, it just felt a little bit sluggish to me at certain points, but it was an okay match. I would have given it probably maybe a 3.5 out of 5. And there were some technical things, but you know what? That's just how wrestling is. Sometimes you have to fly off by the seat of your pants in wrestling. Sometimes things don't always go the way that you expect it to, but you know what? That's just how it is. Like, I don't know. I'm not a superstar. I'm not a professional wrestler, but I'm going to assume that, these people work and train and as much as they can, especially under these circumstances with this pandemic. So I give them kudos for trying to do the best that they can, with, the weather being also a factor to the match. Night one also had overall, I don't want to, like, it's so hard because I like to get into everything with wrestling, because I have so many things that I want to say. I would say, honestly, for me, there was like another match that I liked a lot. Cesaro and Seth Rollins, they actually put on a really damn good match. Seth has some good spots in there, and so did Cesaro. Like, these guys really, like, honestly, I feel like Cesaro doesn't get enough credit for his wrestling ability. I'm pretty sure that he does get some credibility in the back with like some of the other superstars and maybe some backstage staff, but overall I feel like Cesaro should have had like at least a world title run, at least in my opinion. He's been there for so long, and like him and some of the other people backstage, and like, it just boggles my mind that Cesaro has so much potential, and then it's like, why does this guy not have been at least a world title holder at least one time? You know, like it's just beyond me. Like his strength is just, I don't know. He's just a beast. Like he's really good. I'm just surprised that he's just never had that. You know, aside from being in a tag team with his former partner Sheamus, I don't understand how Cesaro could have not been at least a title holder, a world champion holder, excuse me. I mean, even Sheamus has won a world title, you know, on several occasions. So I don't understand how Cesaro cannot get that same level of you know, honors. Like it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Seth and Cesaro's match was really good. Like I give that damn thing like a 4 out of 5, bro. Like it was pretty good. There was a couple of spots in there, like I said before, that were really good. And you know, I know that Seth Rollins is a damn good wrestler. Like, say what you want about him. I mean, sometimes he can say things online on Twitter that, and you can kind of come off like kind of like an asshole, but like with that being said, you know, I hope that, you know, he never like finds my podcast and says like, why is this girl calling me an asshole? But then again, I'm like, that's like the least of the things that I've heard people call Seth Rollins anyway. But I digress. But you know, you may not agree with the things that he says on these podcasts when he goes off and talks to people like Corey Graves on his podcast, or even on Twitter when he makes certain comments. But the one thing that I can say about Seth Rollins that I think a lot of people can agree on, Seth Rollins can wrestle. It's not like he's just there. The guy earns his keep. So he's I would say he's consistent. The thing is, I know that he had some issues in the past where he could, like, people have gotten injured wrestling him, you know, and it was kind of like who's gonna injure you know, who's he gonna injure the next time. But I think he's gotten better with that and trying to not try to do things to harm his opponent. And I don't think he was doing it on purpose. I just think that, you know, sometimes we get a little bit overzealous and we want things to be perfect, and then it doesn't go out the way that it goes in the way that we want it to. So I think that's what the issue was. But with Seth, I think that he could have a match almost as good with anybody, with the exception with the Hell in a Cell match with The Fiend. I can't say that enough. That match was yeah. So I would say that was his one bad match that he's ever had. And I'm sure he's probably himself thought he's had some pretty stinkers himself, but he and Cesaro really delivered that night. I think night one had like, you would think that the night two would have like the better card as on paper, but night one, in my opinion, was a lot better than the first one. Like, I felt more invested in watching the matches as opposed to, you know, night two. But we're gonna get into that a little bit later. Seth and Cesaro, man, it was really good. It was like a crazy spot that Seth did that I thought was like hella awesome, and I was like, wow, this guy really is really good, you know. I don't know, like it was an awesome show, awesome match. I probably would give that like 4 out of 5, you know, if anything. So there was other matches that were pretty good. I mean, even I don't want to jump ahead, but just trying to type in some things here, so I'm sorry guys. Trying to do a little bit of a research. Okay, so just gonna go over the matches a little bit in brief. So I got the first matches done, and I can't do that. Okay, so the first matches were pretty good. on night 1. Oh, this is only focusing on night 2. Okay. Oh wait, here we go. All right, so we had some pretty good matches. I'm sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself, guys. Just bear with me. Okay, so now we're back. The first 2 matches were good, and I have to say that honestly, I kind of wish that they had left it with those matches on night 1 as opposed to night 2. I mean, I know that sounds kind of like, why would I, a little bit selfish, but I mean, when you are working with talent, and some talent are a lot of talent that are really good, and some that are a little not so good. I mean, it kind of brings into question, like, what is this company doing with these people? So I don't know, but yeah, I guess I could save my thoughts for that for the end of the show. All right, so moving on ahead for the 3rd match. Well, actually, I think I jumped ahead. So right after the Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre match, I'm sorry, I kind of skipped over a match. The women's tag team turmoil match had Naomi and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke versus Natalya and Tamina versus the Riot Squad versus Carmella and Billie Kay. Now, the tag team turmoil, I would have to say that would be like the only downfall of WrestleMania night 1, because there were a few botches in that match that honestly was just like, I don't know if it's the camera angles. For those of us who are watching at home, we probably have a better eye on things, but there were a few botches in that match, and I was just like, I can't understand, why are we having this match? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Overall, I wasn't really too thrilled with this match. I think that this match could have been on a kickoff show, and I'm surprised that they didn't really have any matches for the kickoff shows, or any of the kickoffs. Both kickoff shows didn't even have one single match. It was just pretty much predominantly just everyone talking about WrestleMania. This thing, everyone was just in awe just to be back at a stadium with live fans. So, because that was what really was the main importance, was talking about the fan interaction and how much it was missed over a year, in 1 month, in 1 day, as they kept on telling us. Yeah, I see that those were issues, but I honestly feel like this match should have been on the kickoff show. I don't understand why this match had to take up as much time as it did. And I think once the transition left from Drew and Bobby to this match, it kind of like took the air out of that first match. So I don't know, I would have given this about 2.2 out of 5, to be honest with you. Like, there were just too many mistakes that just could not have been overlooked, in my opinion, and I kind of just wanted it gone and off my TV. So the 4th match was for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The New Day versus who were the champions. It was New Day versus AJ Styles and his I want to say his bodyguard, Amos. I have to say this, I liked this match. I mean, for me, I know tag team matches are sometimes it's a hit or miss depending if you have the chemistry with both people, but the match, I gotta say, the one thing I would say about a little bit of spoiler for this match was AJ really got worked on in this match. I'm not going to say by who, but it just goes to show you that he's a consummate performer, and plus I also like AJ Styles, but whatever. I digress. I'm looking at this from a professional standpoint. AJ is a consummate performer. Like, AJ's best or worst match could be considered just almost as good as his best matches. I know that probably doesn't make any sense, but in my head it does. Meaning that even though he can have like maybe one slip up, it doesn't end the entire match. You know, it's still good. I feel like this match was probably about maybe a 3.5 to me. And the only reason why I'm not giving it a 3.5, so giving it a full 5 stars, is because of the fact that I felt that I wanted to see more interaction with, you know, with AJ putting in a little bit more offense and stuff like that. But, you know, it just kind of made me feel like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make him look like he's a little bit weak, and here you go, you know, so for when the other guy comes in, then he's just gonna lay everybody out. But yeah, I'm gonna give that match a 3 out of 5, because I like one thing I can say is like Kofi and Xavier Woods, their facial expressions during this match was like hella hilarious. Like, I can't I've never seen the fear in two people's eyes as they're like looking down, facing up at an opponent. But it was hilarious. They looked like there was like the two guys caught in a horror movie. Like, it just looked too funny to me. And it was just too funny. So you guys go check out that match. I'm not gonna give any results, so you guys can see the match for yourselves. If anything, I might put the results on my blog page. So if you guys want to know who won, you guys go and check out Wrestlemania on Peacock, or you guys could check out the results. I guess you can check it out the results anywhere you want, but I'll probably be posting the results on my blog page, my official page. So basically, there was another match, Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman. This match was a steel cage match. I didn't really understand why it had to be on WrestleMania. I think this is, aside from the tag team turmoil match, I didn't really understand why this match had to be on WrestleMania, because this felt more like a match that would have been on either Raw or SmackDown. And since I believe Braun is on Raw, if I'm not mistaken, I felt like it should have stayed on the regular show. It really didn't provide much to me. I do feel like at the end of that match, one of these guys looked like they died. And like, you never see somebody's soul just immediately leave their chest at the point of impact. Like, when you ever seen like someone get hit so hard, like get punched in the chest, and it literally looks like they got turned off like a computer. Like, you can hear the windows shut down sound. Like, that's how hard that one of these guys got hit. Like, we all just said, okay, rest in peace, because that was it. There was no coming back from that. So we just, folded his arms up, sang the Sarah McLachlan song, "In the Arms of an Angel," and that was it. Put him in the ground, and that was it. And he went to the upper room. I had to steal that from Chiseled Adonis. So if Chiseled is ever listening, I'm sorry, I had to say it. This match really didn't do anything for me, really. Like I said, I would have to say, like, I'm gonna give this match probably maybe a 2 out of 5. And I only give that 2 out of 5 because I feel like I'm being generous. So I'm sorry, but that's just it for me. I can't really stress that enough. There was a surprise. There was a surprise at WrestleMania. Anybody who knows Bad Bunny, he's a musician. He's a Spanish singer. I think he's a Spanish rapper, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really listen to his music, for that matter. But that's neither here nor there. He was tag teamed with, he was partnered with Damien Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. Now, I know there was some build up leading up to this match because I haven't been watching Raw and SmackDown like that. But I'm assuming that Miz is on Raw because, well, he was former world champion before Bobby Lashley had the belt. This match, for what I've seen, well, honestly, I cringe sometimes because you ever watch Miz's offense and just be like, dude, what's something's going on with you? I feel like you're afraid to hit somebody. Like, I feel like you're afraid to, like, really look like you're legit hitting someone. And I don't know. Like, people saying, oh, he's been there for 15 years and it's that, there. I'm like, 15 years and you still can't get it done, right? I don't know. It just doesn't bode well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. But you know what? That's just my opinion. And I guess I'm entitled to it. And you guys are entitled to your own opinions, you know? We could talk about it. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. We could talk about it. Have it out. So, Bad Bunny and Damien Priest, and The Miz and Morrison, they have this match. And Bad Bunny actually surprised a lot of people. He actually put out some good moves in this match. I really thought that, you know, it was probably going to be Damien doing most of the work, but I think, you know, Bad Bunny just came in there, did what he had to do amongst these, you know, these two veterans in the game. And not to put Damien Priest in the trash or anything like that, but Damien Priest is pretty good. I mean, he's former NXT, you know, I think he was North American champion, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been. I think he might have been former NXT champion too. I gotta check up on that on my own time. But yeah, Damien Priest is pretty good. He's a pretty good dude, and I think these guys really did exceptionally well. So I think I would give this match probably about 3.5 also, 3.5. So because Bad Bunny brought it, and you know, after dealing with the previous match, you know, you already had one dead body in at the end of that previous match. So what's more, one more, right? So then after that, we move on from SmackDown Women's Championship, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. This was the main event, folks. And I think this is about the second time the women have main evented at WrestleMania. Being that WrestleMania back in 2018 had the triple threat match between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey, who was, I think, at then champion. I gotta tell you, folks, Sasha and Bianca became the first black women to headline WrestleMania. Even if it is night one, it's still WrestleMania nonetheless. And I gotta give Sasha and Bianca their kudos. Their match did not disappoint. We had power, we had finesse, we had a little bit of tactics here and there, but did these girls deliver? Yes, they did. And I gotta say, I'm very proud. I mean, it kind of made me think about the fact that there's been so many women that's on this roster, this WWE roster, whether you're Raw or SmackDown or even on NXT, but I'm gonna keep it to the main shows. There's so many women on Raw and SmackDown, and I see these women holding it down. lovely. So I gotta give Bianca and Sasha their due. I was so proud to see these women coming out there and representing. You know, I can't say any more about it, but what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give that match about 4 out of 5. Or actually, no, I'm gonna give that a 5 out of 5 because I know there was a couple of spots in there that are a little bit, you know, but you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad that, you know, they did their thing and they represented. And I know my voice just changed. I feel like my voice, like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, just talking about it. I think these women brought their A game. I know Sasha always likes to make her matches come off as good as she can. There's no denying that. She's a veteran and is at this point. Bianca Belair, gotta say, very proud to see what she's accomplished, and I can't wait to see what she's gonna do more. And I gotta say, I was really impressed. With the exception of a couple of matches, night one, I gotta say, I gave night one about a B+ because of the fact that, you know, they had so many factors working against them that night, and then having to do off the top of the head things like the promos and, you know, dealing with delays and then, you know, some things were a little botchy and stuff like that, but overall I think night one was the better show and it delivered. I really do think that it delivered. Now let's move on to night 2. Oh my god, what was night 2 about? I think night 2 had to be by far the most meh show I've ever had to witness. I mean, damn, like even the show started off, you knew something was up. So that being said, the Fiend and Randy Orton opened the show. Now, the Fiend has been seen the past couple of times burnt to a crisp because Randy Orton had pretty much sent him to the upper room by setting him on fire. Now, here's the deal. Now, he's come back burnt to a crisp, albeit, you know, maybe it's because of, I don't know what was going on with the makeup, but dude, he came back looking kind of crisp. Not crisp in the sense of being like burnt, but he looked too clean. So there was issue number 1 with that. 2, they brought back that god awful red lighting again, even after months, and I mean months and months and months of not being able to use that red light because a lot of fans complained that the light was bothering their eyes. The company decided to bring that crap back. Why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't change it. You're trying to make things you're doing too much. And that's the problem. You're doing too much and you're not doing the right things. You're literally the epitome of doing too much. Stop it. Get some help. Enough with the fucking red light. Now you got me mad because there was the reason why I'm mad now, I'm sorry if I'm like losing some of you guys, but the reason why I'm mad is the guy has not been wrestling for a couple of months, and the one time that you bring him back for this pay-per-view, supposed to be on the grandest stage of them all, you have him back with the damn porn light again. What is that? Like, stop. We're not in Amsterdam or whatever trying to hook up with a lady of the night. We're here to watch a wrestling match, guy. Stop it. The one thing I would say that I like about it is the fact that the way how Alexa Bliss has been able to be incorporated in the storyline with The Fiend and Randy Orton. Now, that was up until this point. Now, I don't understand with the result of what happened in this match. I don't understand what the hell is going on. I guess I have to watch this week's Raw to understand what the hell I saw on Sunday, because that shit doesn't make any sense to me. You had me on talking nice and good about night 1 on Wrestlemania, but now night 2, I'm gonna drag your ass, because I'm going to. Now, my listeners are going to be sitting here like, what the hell's going on? She just turned to Jekyll and Hyde. Because I'm going to tell you why I'm mad. This guy has not been wrestling in a few months. He got burnt to a crisp. He came back looking worse than Freddy Krueger on a good day. And now the first thing you do, he got a nice new clean mask. He doesn't show no signs of being burnt whatsoever, because I can still see the tattoos on the back of this dude's neck and clear shot above it, just, you know, above his dreads, but just underneath his dreads when he bends his head. No visible scar damage whatsoever. I'm sorry, sir. You were burnt alive. This was no second or first degree, not even third degree burns. Bro, you should be looking just like Homeboy from Mad Max when Mel Gibson's character goes in there and sees his friend burnt damn near to a crisp. You should be looking like Spawn, bro. Like, none of that. He should be looking like T-Bird in The Crow, fused to his seat. When he zigged, he should have zagged. He should have been looking like that. You got burned alive at a pay-per-view about maybe 2 to 3 months ago. And you coming back looking like you about to go and just cut a modeling shoot, like a fashion shoot. Why? This makes no sense to me. You guys, I don't know. Maybe I'm dwelling on this a little bit too much, but you know what? I'm not even going to go into the match about what was so good about this match, because there was nothing good about this match. I'm not spoiling anything with that. This match was literally a 1.5. Yes, if you want to sit there and say, well, why she's upset, it's a 1.5. Go and check the match yourself. See if you enjoy the match on night 2. We just ended night 1 on a good note, with maybe an exception of maybe 2 matches that could have been like, you know what, that could have been on Raw or SmackDown. And here we go. We bring back The Fiend, who's supposed to be this mythical character, you know, supposed to scare the bejesus out of people. And what do? Yeah, fuck him up again. For the 3rd freaking time, you done messed up this goddamn character. I didn't even want to talk about how upset and annoyed that I was, but I was like the people who sat there at the stadium, at Raymond James Stadium, confused. And you knew something was wrong because the people started to boo because they were confused. They didn't know what they was watching. They were like, they paid money to see what exactly that. No, if anybody who ever listens to this, word of advice to WWE, stop having The Fiend, because you guys screwed his character. From the moment you guys screwed his character at that Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins almost 2 years ago now, stop. You destroyed any level of creativity that man has. He had a good character with the original Bray Wyatt. Then I got kind of stale because you kept letting him get beat at pay-per-views to people like John Cena, to Randy Orton. I mean, how many freaking times are these two guys going to fight? Where is the story there? Randy Orton was literally part of the Wyatt family for 2 seconds. What is the story there? The same way how Daniel Bryan was there for like maybe 2 seconds, and so was Braun Strowman. And y'all managed to make stories out of all three of these guys, with Bryan being there a little bit longer than the other two. What is there to make a story out of Randy Orton? What is so special about Randy Orton? Why can't we move on from Randy Orton? And that is no disrespect to the future Hall of Famer, because I know everybody and their mother always going to Hall of Fame, because the Hall of Fame is bullshit. There's people that got in the Hall of Fame for doing practically freaking nothing. But I digress. That's another topic for another time. Stop it with the Fiend. If you're not going to do the character any justice, don't bother having the man play the character. Move on and find something else, or let him out of his contract so he can go to some place where he can be appreciated. Because this is bullshit. You guys said that you want to bring up new stars. He's technically a new star because he's never been at the platitude of like a Stone Cold, Rock, even Mick Foley, Triple H, Undertaker. He has not been at that peak yet. And you guys keep on doing things that make no sense to me. That match is a damn 1.5. I don't give a shit ain't what anybody says. That match is a 1.5, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. I'm mad because that's what it is. I don't normally like to lose my temper, but just thinking about it just really irks my soul. You guys practically made him like the freaking Terminator. And he, like, really? No, I'm gonna move on, because if I stay here and talk about the Fiend and the Randy Orton match one more minute, I'm gonna lose my stuff. I'm gonna lose my mind. So I'm gonna move on from that. So the next match was the winners of the tag team turmoil match. It was Natalya and Tamina versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. This one was all right. I mean, it wasn't the 5-star classic that I would think they would be, but I would say I'd give this match a 3 out of 5. 3.5. Or 3 out of 5, yes. Because there were a couple of mistakes here and there, but you know what? It got to showcase Natalya and Tamina, and especially Tamina, because Tamina, as old as she is, I believe that Tamina and I are almost close in the same age. So some women who are maybe in their late 30s, mid to late 30s in wrestling, we're pretty much almost considered retired and out to pasture because of the fact of how old we are. And some of them don't even get the same level of shine that they probably would have gotten if they were, you know, maybe in their early to mid 20s. So I think that, you know, with that being said, the match was a 3.5. And I'm glad that Tamina got some level of shine at Wrestlemania, because she's in there fighting one of her cousins, which is which is Nia Jax. And I think in the future, maybe Tamina might be a champion or something. I don't know how much time she has left on her contract, but I would hope that she'll probably gotten at least one title shot or one opportunity to win a belt and actually retain. So that match was about a 3.5. There was a couple of hiccups there, but you know what? It is what it is. Moving on. Now, this was the match that I think a lot of people were like, okay, let's see how these guys are. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. These guys were former friends, but they actually are friends in real life, and I think they're like really close. But just to keep up the mystique, these enemies, these friends that have become enemies now, angle. So Kevin is off the heels of dealing with Roman Reigns for the past 3 months and stuff like that, and you know, can't seem to beat the big man. So now his shift is towards Sami Zayn, who thinks that this whole big conspiracy around him, and he never lost the IC championship, and there's been this whole thing that the big machine is working against him, and it's keeping him down, so to speak. Whether or not that is true in real life, I kind of feel like it might be, but there's a lot of truth into some of these promos and these characters that these people are talking about or using or displaying on TV. So there might be some truth to that with Sami. All right. So that being said, Sami and Kevin, I gotta say, these guys, man, these former NXT guys, these guys are freaking awesome. Like, take Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens doesn't fit, his body structure doesn't fit the typical type, because he's not like super buff. You know, he's a guy, got a big gut, but he could bring the smoke. If you want the smoke, he's there for it. Say what you want about Kevin Owens, because he kind of was like a hit or miss with me, because I kind of didn't like him at times. But and I keep calling him Seth Rogen because he reminds me of Seth Rogen. But what I gotta say is, yo, Kevin Owens, man, like, this guy is freaking awesome. I always wanted to say, like, even though there were some wrestlers that I really couldn't give two farts about, I gotta say he's not one of them. Like, Kevin Owens, whether if he's a good guy or a bad guy or in between, I feel like Kevin is really good, and he has the potential to go and take it a step further. But it is up to them in the back to see something of worth in both him and Sami Zayn. I'm not gonna sell Sami Zayn short. Sami Zayn is a good wrestler too. Their movesets are really good. These guys, I swear that I feel like Triple H was running this match on Sunday, because these are former NXT guys, and they know how to bring it. I think NXT people, women and the men, both bring it in a way that the main roster just doesn't seem to have. It's like NXT have all the spice, but then they have like all the good ingredients, you know, but they're rough around the edges. So, you know, like, you can make a lasagna, but your lasagna may not look as good, but it tastes good. But Raw and SmackDown are like, the main roster is like, it looks nice, but it tastes like shit. Like, that's what I got from the two entities. So something is off there between the NXT and the main roster. If it was me, I would have stayed in NXT if I had the choice. But then I don't have the choice, so I don't get called back. So I get called up. Sorry, I don't get called back. I get called up, and then you instantly regret the decisions. You're like, why the hell I even bother becoming a wrestler? But I digress. Sami and Kevin, I'll give this match 4 out of 5. Reason why I'm giving it 4 out of 5, because I don't think any match is typically perfect down the line. I think that, you know, there might be some little things. I think the reason why I give it 4 out of 5, because Logan Paul's ass was involved, and I don't. Why is he there? Y'all really need to stop bringing these damn celebrities in here. These people ain't really okay, you know what? I'm not gonna shit on him, because quite frankly, he making his money, and he's still popular regardless of whether I have this podcast or not. So I'm not gonna stop him from doing what he gotta do or say anything against him, because he's making his money, his bread. I just don't see what is the big hoopla in allowing some of these celebrities to come and be a part of these shows. I just don't get it. Same thing with Bad Bunny. It's not to say that I don't like Bad Bunny. It's just like, I just don't understand. You're taking away spots that could have went to another wrestler for the sake of bringing in a celebrity who wants to be a wannabe wrestler. Stop. Like, stop it. That money could have and time could have went to somebody else. And then look what happened. They just fired 10 people yesterday. A year removed from Black Wednesday from last year. So you know this company's full of shit. But I digress. I'm gonna keep moving. I'm gonna keep it pushing. 4 4 out of 5 for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who put on a clinic, who actually brought life to this goddamn show on night 2. Because if it wasn't for them, this whole show would have fell by the damn wayside. And we already had 2 matches that were already blah as it was. All right. So moving on. The United States Championship, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. Another thing too, stop shortening people's names, damn it. That's annoying. He was in NXT known as Matt Riddle. Leave it as Matt Riddle, not Riddle. What the hell is that? There's nothing powerful about the name Riddle. What is that? I swear the next thing you got him coming out wearing a freaking Riddler suit from Batman, I'm going to just throw WWE all up in the garbage, because y'all are just ridiculous with the names. Stop leaving people's names, man. Like how they had Mustafa Ali, then he went to Ali, then you changed him back to Mustafa, you added Mustafa back, and then all of a sudden he became Mustafa. What the hell is a Mustafa, bro? What is that? Is that the correct way of saying the name? Because I need somebody to let me know, because I need to know. What the hell is Mustafa? Excuse me? First of all, that don't even sound right. It sounds like you're calling him Musty. I don't like it. Change it. And if anything, do right by him. Put him in a contendership for a title shot, because guess what? He still ain't get his come up from when he went and he got injured and then got taken out of that elimination chamber, which ultimately became Kofi Kingston's moment. So that could have been Mustafa Ali's moment, but he got injured due to playing around with Randy Orton almost 2 years ago. In fact, yeah, about 2 years ago. Stop it. You got all these young guys and then you don't know how to use them properly. Stop it. Anyway, Matt Riddle was United States champion versus Sheamus. By the way, does Sheamus only have one freaking name this whole goddamn time? Like, yeah, Sheamus, what is that? Anyway, don't get me wrong, I like the hell out of Sheamus. The man can wrestle. He can wrestle. So I don't want anybody telling me, oh, she's talking shit about Sheamus. No, I listen. I may make some jokes because he's very, he's very ivory skinned. I may make some jokes because I'm like, wow, he really doesn't seem to go out in the sun at all. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's a talented wrestler. Whether he's a heel or a face, I think he does better as a heel, because I feel like he gets lost trying to find his footing as a face. But say what you want, Sheamus is a damn good wrestler. And it was a spot on Sunday night that could have been very problematic for both him and Matt Riddle that night. And I like the fact that he had that intuitiveness to change up the spot. It wasn't what he was going for, but I'm glad that he changed it up so that it wouldn't run the risk of hurting himself and Matt Riddle, who he was holding at the time. So that's a consummate performer to me right there, that he had that wherewithal to see that. I'm not going to tell you what happened, like what was the move, so you guys got to see it yourself. But I will tell you that they did bring on a clinic, and I got to say, this is the second match for the night so far that I actually really enjoyed, because Matt Riddle could bring it just as hard as Sheamus. This match, again, to me, was like a 4 out of 5, because I don't think anybody, I don't think they really had much of a build-up for this match either, because Sheamus had just came from off the heels for dealing with Drew at Elimination Chamber, and I think also Fastlane. So I think that's where everything is kind of like coming together. So I think, yeah, definitely a 4 out of 5 with this match. Second match out of 4 so far that I thought that actually did a damn good job with the match itself. I don't know so much about the storytelling, but it really did a good job. It kept me invested and I really enjoyed it. So that being said, we'll move on to the IC Championship, the Intercontinental Championship with Big E as champion versus Apollo Crews in the Nigerian drum fight. First of all, I don't even know what the hell was a Nigerian drum fight, because that just sounded ridiculous to me. I think that Apollo's character is really good, but lose the accent. Stop it with the accents. If you guys are not naturally speaking with an accent, stop. It's offensive. I don't understand how you sounded like you came from, I want to say he came like he lived in New York City all his life or anything like that, but how you just sounded like you came from like an all-American guy. All of a sudden now you seem like you just transported back to Nigeria, and you're speaking like you're the Black Panther, like T'Challa. That was the first thing that I noticed when I first started hearing him talk, and I'm like, bro, stop with the accents, man. Even Kofi had to drop his accent. And they didn't know what the hell they wanted to do with Kofi Kingston in the beginning, because I thought he was Jamaican, but they said he's from Ghana. I'm like, but then why does his music sound like he come from Jamaica then? Like he come from the West Indies. Why? His colors are yellow and green. Why? His theme song is SOS. I hear them calling SOS. That's not Ghana. That's not Ghanaian. If that's even a word. I'm sorry, guys. I'm making up stuff as I go along. Stop. It's like even little things like that triggers me. Like, stop it. Apollo, speak with your regular voice, bro. You can still get your point across as you being the chief, being the great grandson of a Nigerian king or something like that. Keep that level of energy. Lose the fucking accent. Move on. This match, I thought would have been better. I am very disappointed at the outcome of the match. I honestly feel like the match could have just been way better than what it was. There were some moments that I thought that, yeah, it could get a little bit intense, but for the little super finish that happened at Fastlane, I would figure that they would have had a little bit more going for it, but no. So this match to me gets like a 2 out of 5. I honestly thought that, you know, they would have made things a little bit more better, since how this was a title match with two actually really good wrestlers in Big E and Apollo respectively. I just don't understand what the hell happened in this match. It's just it just doesn't make sense to me. All that build up for what? Like, it just doesn't make sense, guys. And I'm sorry if I'm being vague as to what happened, but I'm trying not to be the spoiler queen like that anymore, because you know, I feel like I've been giving out way too much information, but they really need to stop with the BS. Like, you're giving these guys a platform to wrestle, and then you're just like, no, c'est la vie. Doesn't make any sense. So you get 2.5 from me. I'm sorry, but that's how it goes. The next match was Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, who was the champion. Now, I gotta say, I'm not saying that I don't like Rhea Ripley. I do. I felt like the match at times was a little dry and kind of like, well, when are we getting to I think the audience was kind of looking for someone to come and interrupt. I know there was rumbles that Becky Lynch was supposed to come back, and I'm like, bro, she just had a baby in December. Like, what are y'all trying to do? Let the lady just leave her baby and then come back into wrestling? Like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, I understand, you know, she want to get back in the ring eventually and stuff, but I feel like right now, if you're a new mom, and I'm not saying, because I'm just only speaking from like from my outsider's perspective, let her be a mom. Let her be with her child. We can wait, you know. And I think now I would have had more of a problem leaving my child, because guess what? I gotta wrestle and dealing with potential COVID, And then on top of it, I'm being away from my child. I'm sorry. I'm keep going back to that. Like, it's a newborn. I don't kind of want to leave my child like that. People say, oh, well, she might have postpartum depression, spending some time away might help. Yeah, but it also might hinder things, because then she might feel like she wants to stay with her child, and she might make that decision to end up giving up wrestling, or wait till she get a little bit older and then come back. But by that time, who knows? I'm not Becky Lynch. I'm not Seth Rollins, her fiance. I'm not a member of her family. I know she's been dealing with the loss of her dad too recently. Let her breathe. I know this whole her getting pregnant was unexpected, but let her breathe. Let her do what she got to do as a mom to her daughter, and then let her come back when she's good and ready. Stop forcing the shit. Stop. Anyway, so Rhea and Asuka. Honestly, I would have thought that this one was would have been a bit better. This one barely had any build-up from what I read and heard. I wasn't really too thrilled with the outcome. I honestly feel that Rhea Ripley's time should have been last year at WrestleMania 36. And if you don't agree with me on it, we're welcome to open it for discussion. You guys can send me an email or hit me up on my send me a message on Instagram or whatever, or Twitter, and we could talk about it. But I honestly do feel that Rhea Ripley should have been champion last year. You guys know why. For those of you who watch wrestling, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I don't want anybody talking about, oh, but she's talking bad about Charlotte Flair. I'm not talking bad about Charlotte Flair. Honestly, I have my own feelings about Charlotte Flair, but regardless of that, I really felt that Rhea Ripley should have won last year. Rhea Ripley should have been women's champion last year. But again, the machine won. Backstage politics won. And there you go. So explain to me now, why would I want Rhea Ripley to be champion now? I'll wait. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just being honest. I'm being 100% honest with y'all. Explain that to me, please. Explain. Anyway, I give this match I'll give it 3.5, even though I was a little bit disappointed in certain spots of the match, because I felt that these are former NXT women's champions, and I know when you're in NXT, you'll bring your A game. You guys are tremendous in the matches and spots that you guys are doing in NXT, because the energy in NXT seems to be more lively than it is on the main roster. Man, wrestling has changed a lot. I never remember seeing fans be so fickle when it comes to people being champion. They could have wanted you to be champion today, and then by like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in, they're already bored and want somebody else to be champion. I swear, I don't understand that. Like, it's like the most chaotic and erratic way of thinking. What happens to the days of giving somebody at least a title reign for a few months, and then they could lose it and get it back? Now it seems like they want somebody to be just champion for 2 weeks and then go and give it to somebody else. Like, I don't understand that. That seems stupid. But whatever. I digress. This match, 3 out of 5, 3.5, whatever. I just wish it would have been better. Now, the one that we've all been waiting for to end WrestleMania Night 2. The Universal Championship between Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. I gotta give this one probably about a 4 out of 5. Honestly, I actually, wait, 4 out of 5? I mean, I think that it was better than the girls' match? To some extent, yes. To some extent, no. I don't. But, however, I'm not even going to go into my whole feelings about Edge being in the match in the first place, because I think people are going to be like, well, Samantha, no, he's supposed to be in the match. It was Daniel Bryan that wasn't supposed to be. Listen, first of all, don't come from my man D-Bry, all right? D-Bry and Roman Reigns should have been having a fight by them damn selves. There was no reason why Edge needed to win that damn Royal Rumble. Y'all fiending. Because first of all, this is what gets me mad. Push new talent. Y'all talking about, oh, but you think some talent, or you don't think that some talent has what it takes, and they may need somebody who's a veteran in the game to push them up. You know why I feel like that's bullshit? Because you guys give the legends free pass to come back and win championships. I.e., look at Goldberg. I rest my case. I shouldn't have. Listen, it's not that I hate Goldberg, because I know a lot of people do. But I'm not one of those people, because quite frankly, I grew up in the era of Goldberg. But at 39 years old, I can honestly say that I grew up watching Goldberg, and he's in his 50s now. So I'm guessing he's around the same age as when I was. He was the same age I am now when he was wrestling. I want to make this abundantly clear to y'all. You guys stack your rosters with a lot of people for the sake of forcing them to not go to other promotions, because you guys think that you guys are the biggest wrestling company in the world. And you might be right. I'll give you that. I'll give you a clap for that. However, don't hire these people if you know you ain't got no damn storyline for them or no creativity for them, because it's a waste of their time. You literally got people sitting at home getting paid to do nothing. That's why a lot of them end up having side jobs. I mean, look at it this way. Y'all just fired 10 people yesterday. A year to the day that you fired over 20-something staff. I think it might have been even 30 people that got fired last year. Some of them people went off to do other things. Some people went off to go and wrestle in AEW. Some people went and formed careers on their own. Why do you think some people ended up doing real estate so that they could keep a house on over their head? Because real estate makes money. And I don't doubt that some of these people could make more money doing real estate than wrestling for you. Because guess what? At the end of the day, I ain't got to worry sitting there. If I get injured and I'm part of a tag team, like, look what they did to AOP just a few months back. You had one of the guys out on injury, and the team had just come back from one of the other teammate being injured, and then only for them to end up on the shelf because they used to be part of Seth Rollins' crew. Man, he was the Messiah on Raw, the Monday Night Messiah. Anybody remember that? That was like the beginning of 2020. It was like the end cusp of 2019 to the beginning of 2020. Just before COVID went and just wreaked havoc on everybody in March 13th. And then here you go. You fired them soon as the dude gets off on injury. That's some trifling stuff, man. Like, what? They could have went back for been his enforcers, so to speak, and he would have had more to work with. But no, you didn't. And then there you go. End of that. You guys don't know what the hell to do with people. You really don't. They also have one of the Viking Raiders out on injury, because I saw one of them came back because after he did surgery, he had a son, with former Sarah Logan. And now he was back in the Andre Giant Battle Royal. It was Raw that came back. Now you're gonna tell me Ivar's out on injury. You really think as soon as the Viking Raiders get cleared again to wrestle as a tag team, they're not gonna look to fire Ivar? and Raw once they both come back as a team. That's the only other solid team that they got. But I digress. I lost my point here, and you know I'm supposed to be talking about the Universal Tag Team. The Universal Championship. So 4 out of 5, guys. I mean, there was some good spots in this match. Like they both had at one point where they had Reigns in a submission move. I believe Edge had locked in a submission on Reigns, and then Daniel said, "Nah, son, we're not doing that," because I think Reigns was about to tap, so he grabbed his loose arm and got him up in the label lock, and then Edge and Daniel were fighting amongst themselves. So I like that, but I don't want nobody ever telling me no garbage about why Daniel Bryan had to be in there. First of all, Reigns and him have history. More so than Edge. Edge just came back from being out from how many months after he tore his pectoral or whatever the hell thing that he tore. Because again, fighting Randy Orton at the greatest match never show ever. Like, really? You just came back after 9 years, bro. Get injured on your what I think was at the time your legit second match at a pay-per-view fighting Randy Orton. You get injured. I forgot what thing that was. I think that might have been either Extreme Rules or some other thing. You're fighting him. You were out for like how many months, bro? You was out for like what, 6 to 9 months, and then you came back, and then it's like all of a sudden you're granted the win in Royal Rumble. For what? What did you accomplish? You was out for how long? Unless they didn't want to have him there as like how he came in last year's Royal Rumble, and you know he lost, but he was in last year's Royal Rumble. You was in the 2 Royal Rumbles back to back, and you won this. You won this one. You won the 2021. Excuse me, 2021 Royal Rumble. Why are you here? That spot could have went to Daniel Bryan, which is giving him an automatic win, opportunity, to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Or if you didn't want Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble, you could have had Edge fight Drew McIntyre when Drew McIntyre was still world champion. That goes to show they don't give a shit about that world championship belt. They treat it like the redhead stepchild that it is. That's why a lot of times Drew's matches always came on first, because nobody gave a shit enough to put him as main event, because the head of the table was more important. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, you know, you should sit there and say, oh, one championship is more important than the other. No, you shouldn't do that. If you're going to have championships to represent both Raw and SmackDown, treat them as accordingly. Why Drew's match can't come on before Roman's? Why? Why do you guys have all these other matches to take up the space when Drew's matches could have gone right before his? Why? It's like y'all want the first match to be Raw related and the last one to be SmackDown related. It's like y'all don't care. But anyway, I give this match a 4 out of 5, guys. The wrestling was pretty good. There was some little dirty tactics that was being done, but you know, nothing too. I mean, it was all to be expected since it was a no DQ match. Do I think the right outcome was there was a good outcome out of this match? Honestly, I'm a little biased, but yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. I could see why, but I really thought that it was gonna go another direction, but it didn't. So I guess it leaves it open to more stuff happening at the end of the day. But yeah, I honestly, in my heart, I really do feel that this company needs to change up some things about themselves. But overall, WrestleMania was kind of like The only really good matches that they had on the card was the Sasha and Bianca match, which was really good. The triple threat no disqualification match for the Universal title match was pretty good. The Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match was good. The man, I just lost it. The United States Championship match between Matt Riddle and Sheamus was good. I liked the tag team the Raw tag team match too. From night 1. Night 2's matches were the only ones that I really liked a lot was the Sami and Kevin Owens match and the Sheamus and Matt Riddle fight. Night 1, the Cesaro and Seth Rollins fight was pretty good. So both shows pretty much had like at least maybe three matches that really stand out, when the others were just kind of like meh. But I think night 1, in my opinion, was way better than night 2. Night 2 just felt like they dropped the ball, and there was a lot of like air that got kind of like left out of the tires, so to speak. Like, I don't feel that they really put enough into night 2, and it started off bad, and it just then the next match after that, it wasn't like how the reverse where Drew started it off, and then you had, of course, you had the tag team turmoil match, but the show started off on a good note on night 1, and then you might have had that little match, that match in the following match, but then you had the Cesaro and Seth Rollins match to kind of compensate for that, whereas night 2 just had garbage after garbage, and then by the third match you're like, holy shit, now the show is revived. But at that point it was already too late. Even if the first match was trash, the second match should have delivered just as well, or even more. Now you're putting more pressure on the girls to perform at a higher level than the men just did. Now the spotlight's on them to try to make the show into something better than what it was. And I don't like that. Regardless of whether it was men or women wrestling in that second match on night 2, you're putting pressure on the people who are on. If you know that the first match is trash, now you're putting more pressure on the people that come to follow up after that, because now people are expecting to be for that to be the same thing. So night 1 infinitely better, night 2 basura, and this is the Samantha K experience, and I'm signing off. Peace, guys.